Hello and welcome. I'm Mia Bearden, your host for our special episode of Chicago This Week. Thanks for tuning in. For the last 8 weeks, we've brought you the latest news all around Chicago, from new mayor to lost citizens and the latest fashion trends. But as the temperatures heat up, our reporters decided it was time to check out what a summer in the Windy City is all about. Whether you're on the land or the lake or the sky or the river, Chicago is filled with attractions for everyone. But one of the things that makes the city so unique is architecture. Our Hayes Owens hit the skies and the river to take us from Chicago's highest point in the clouds, Chicago's lowest point on the water. Let's just say she found some.
From the highest point of the city at the Willis Tower to the lowest on a boat on Lake Michigan, come with me to explore Chicago's unique architecture with a little extra history.
Explore the city like never before. The sky deck at the Willis Tower is open all year round, but the summer months have a crowd like no other. Guests gather in the lobby to get their tickets and then ride the elevator to the 103rd floor.
The tower opened its doors in 19...
Families gather to take creative pictures, selfies, and enjoy the beautiful view. One attendee made it all the way from Tennessee to reminisce about her past.
Chicago's my favorite city, so I love everything about Chicago, the architects, the culture. So I'm just excited to be here. My husband and I got engaged 5 years ago, right here in Chicago, so it feels good to be back.
Another all the way from Mexico on his U.S. tour.
I think I came here because I really like the architecture of the city. Just as immense as it is, I like the views, so I think it was a good decision. I've only been here for 3 days. I still have another 3 days to see, and at this moment, I decided to come to the Sky Day to admire this beautiful view that we see here.
If you don't love heights, you can also take an architecture tour on the river, and there's one boat that has witnessed the change of the city.
I think there's no other better way to have the experience of learning what the architecture and the history of Chicago is than on the water. Because this is what, being on the water is what made Chicago. The maritime history. And without the maritime history, there would be no Chicago. The trade and everything. And this is a piece of Chicago history, this fireboat. And that's what makes it stand out.
Aside from the bright red color, this boat is a piece of Chicago history, truly. To just show, like, this spot right here was why the city was founded. You know, Wolf Point, being able to access trade routes and things like that. It was a very critical step for Chicago, you know, making its name in the country as one of the biggest cities in the country. So
one employee says Chicago sets the tone for world architecture.
So much of who we are as people is how we live and where we live. And Chicago is a unique place for that, not only because we have unique buildings, we have a unique history, but also because we shape the way that buildings are made to all over the world, right?
If you aren't a fan of boats or water and even heights, you can also check out the Chicago Architectural Center to learn more about history. From downtown Chicago, I'm Hayes Owens, Chicago This Week.
Thanks, Hayes. Have you ever wanted to join workout classes, but the cost prevented you from not going? Well, this summer you can stay active for free. Raylan Lee headed to Millennium Park to check out what class the city has to offer.
Hi Mia. As summer is approaching, or shall I say it's already here, it's never too late to get in a nice summer workout, burn some extra calories, and even get a mimosa after.
Free workouts at Millennium Park all summer. And yes, you heard right, it's free.
Someone who has lived in downtown Chicago for 4 years now, I like having free activities to do, to be honest, because I'm always I like being outside, but sometimes I want to do more than just sit on a park bench.
Every Saturday on the Great Lawn in Millennium Park, 4 45-minute workout sessions will take place, including Pilates, yoga, cardio kickboxing, and Zumba.
I actually never heard about it until my friend texted me about it. How to keep each other accountable, kind of waking up in the morning and going out and doing some exercise.
Pull it in and reach.
These workout sessions will run from May 27th through September 2nd, starting at 8 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. and all are welcome to join.
From now until September, I have some friends coming in from Atlanta, some friends coming in from Toronto, and one from South Korea. We'll be out here.
Many Chicago residents are happy to be back outside post-COVID and see familiar faces.
Prior to COVID, I was coming out for the yoga in the park, and that ceased. And it's just a part of the community. I live up the street, and it gives me the opportunity to come out, meet people, and also participate in something that's bigger than me.
It's funny, like the same people come every year, so it's nice. I've met so many great people here that I probably wouldn't have in like a group setting because they just come here to do this.
Don't worry about what your neighbor's doing. Pause if you need it, no shakes.
We're going to take a deeper look into the first class offered bright and early at 8 a.m. It's Pilates.
This is my third year teaching here at Millennium Park. Just stumbled in Pilates one day working at a gym part-time, and I got my certification, and here we are almost 14 years later. I've been teaching.
Rita shares how Pilates can be beneficial to everyday life and what it's all about.
This mind-body connection, it's just drawing awareness to your body, how you move. It's things you can kind of use in your everyday life. I know we live in the tech world where we're all like this, so it's really great to have things that kind of draw awareness to your body, and Pilates does that.
After all your hard work and burning tons of calories, you can stop by the Double Clutch Plaza and show your mat for a complimentary mimosa with a purchase of any entree.
I think it's like a good motivator. Like, I definitely feel like I'd be rewarded after doing a lot of hard work to just have a nice drink.
Hands up to the sky.
From downtown Chicago,
Palms face.
I'm Raylan Lee, Chicago This Week.
Now, group workouts aren't for everyone. If you'd rather relax in the park, the Chicago Park District is bringing Hollywood to you. For 21 years, the city's Movies in the Park program has put the big screen right in your backyard. This year, you can see everything from family-friendly favorites like Toy Story or Encanto, classics like Grease and Star Wars,
I am your father,
or even web-slinging superhero favorite Spider-Man. And you can even bring your furry friend too. A list of movies, dates, and times can be found on the Chicago Park District's website. With so many things to do in Chicago, it can be hard to decide. Lucky for us, TripAdvisor ranked the top 15 things to do in Chicago. Here's Abby Buston with more.
Thanks, Mia. Coming in at number 15 is the Richard H. Dreyhouse Museum, and spot 14 is the Shedd Aquarium. Number 13 is the Chicago Cultural Center. 12 is the Chicago River Walk, and at 11 is the Lincoln Park Zoo.
Coming up, check out what Chicago activities made the top 10, world-famous gangster sites, and what is causing a big boom around the city. After the break.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Mobsters, prohibition, bootlegging, crimes you probably haven't heard of since the 1930s. But Chicago gangsters like Al Capone, John Dillinger, and Frank Nitti were known for in the early days. Our Jessica Christopher takes us around the Chicago's most famous historic crime scenes.
It's almost summertime in Chicago, and if you're a crime junkie, Chicago Crime Tours has just what you need. I'm talking gangsters, bootlegging, and murders.
Our history is so intertwined with our crime history. So on my tour, we talk about from the very beginning of Chicago's founding, we had this reputation for crime, neighborhoods that were literally built by criminals, kind of how different criminals shaped the way our city was built and things like that.
You begin on East Pearson Street and travel north towards the Biograph Theater in Lincoln Park.
The tour takes you around famous stops in the city. It was here in this alleyway that bank robber John Dillinger was shot and killed after he tried to escape the Biograph Theater.
In his prime, Dillinger went on a 14-month crime spree, yet he was hailed as a Robin Hood figure, famously saying, "I rob banks, not people." Next, you'll travel to Clark Street, where violence between North Side and South Side gangs broke out.
I'm now standing outside what used to be the building where the infamous St. Valentine's Day Massacre took place.
There, on February 14th, 1929, 7 enemies of Al Capone were shot and killed. Next, you'll check out the basement of Harry Carey's, where bootleggers used an underground tunnel system to transport liquor.
I thought it was wonderful, and when my son said we were going to it, I said, well, I don't think we should because Braden here is only 11. So he looked it up and said it's 10 and over. So I said, well, then we're going to come.
The bus then takes you to the spot where a famous enemy of Capone's was killed.
Check out this bullet hole outside Holy Name Cathedral. Many in Chicago believe this marks the spot of the bullet that shot and killed Northside gang leader Jaime Wise.
Wise is widely considered the only mobster Al Capone ever feared.
Yes, if you want to come on one of our tours, you can go to ChicagoCrimeTours.com or you can call 312-888-6224 and you can book tickets.
In Chicago, I'm Jessica Christopher, Chicago This Week.
Wow, what a great activities for all of those crime junkies out there, day or night. But if you're looking for a little more family-friendly nighttime attraction, there's an even bigger boom shaking Chicago. Here's Julia O'Leary with more.
I'm standing on Navy Pier waiting for the annual summer fireworks to kick off. It's Memorial Day weekend and the fireworks will run from now all the way through August every Wednesday and Saturday. As you can hear and see, Navy Pier is packed as people are anxiously awaiting for the fireworks to begin.
As the sun set and the sky turned black, Chicagoans began to gather along Navy Pier. You could feel the excitement in the air as people lined the steps, filled restaurants, and sat along the banks of the river and held their family and friends close as they looked to the sky, waiting for that first bang to erupt over Lake Michigan. The fireworks were perfectly in sync with music, which amazed spectators.
Music was amazing. I was singing along to every song. And it was beautiful watching people everywhere with their friends, family, kids, and it was a really nice moment for people. I think this was a grand opening night, and I might find myself coming back every week.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, long before those fireworks ever hit the sky. The company who makes it all happen is Pyrotechnico, who prepares for this event months in advance.
We actually bring in our fireworks in the wintertime and test them all at our facility, about an hour and a half from here. And then we record all the diagnostics for every shell and every effect that we shoot. We record the duration of it, we get a video of it so we know we can refer back to it. We rate everything on how clean it is in the sky. We just want to know what every effect is going to do before we program it in the show. So then once January, February rolls around, we start working with Navy Pier on picking out the music for the shows. Every show is choreographed exactly second by second to each soundtrack. So we have a full-time crew of 6 designers that go through and they design each show minute by minute, second by second, so we know what's going to happen in the sky when we start the show.
Pyrotechnico has worked with Navy Pier for 20 years, and the fireworks shows have become a Chicago tradition for locals and tourists alike.
Yeah, so this year we have more than 30 shows planned for Navy Pier. Not every show is completely different, so some of them repeat, like we do a popular music theme, and that'll repeat several times through the summer. But a lot of times we'll coordinate the fireworks music and show with a special event that's happening at Navy Pier. An analogy we like to use is the Chicago skyline is our canvas, and the music and fireworks are our palette. And so we can pull out different colors and different effects to really dial in what we want to see.
And Jonathan says the great thing about shooting fireworks off Navy Pier is that people can see the show for miles along the lakefront. Chicagoans, keep your eyes to the sky every Wednesday and Saturday this summer. For Chicago This Week at Navy Pier, I'm Julia O'Leary.
There are so many bucket list activities to do in Chicago, but none quite like this next one. It's a combination of exercise, history, and firework display. In fact, it's certainly meant to make a splash. Join Chicago This Week reporter Abby Buston off land and off foot. Take a look.
From the land to the river, Chicago is filled with unique attractions that you can check out, and kayaking is just one of those attractions. I headed out with urban kayakers to see what this attraction is all about. Come paddle with me.
Just across the river, you see those.
Settled among the skyscrapers and busy bridges, the Chicago River is a focal point of the city. It attracts a number of boating activities: large tour boats, personal yachts, and my favorite, kayaks. Stepping into a kayak on the Green River, you go back in time to the early days of the city.
If you kind of just pluck yourself out of this modern day moment that we're in here with all this steel and glass and concrete everywhere, in the 1600s, the people who were first here, the Ojibwa tribe, people like the Potawatomi, they were here pretty much doing the same exact thing that we're doing. They didn't have bright green and yellow plastic kayaks, they had wooden canoes, but you know, it's close enough for us to feel like we are carrying on like a long-standing important local tradition here by doing this.
Nowadays, you won't be passing swamps or wild onions. Instead, you'll see famous Chicago buildings towering over you and hear elevated trains passing by.
The architectural tour boats are very good. There's all kinds of different rentals, pontoon boats, electric boats, things like that. But there is just something about kayaking, you know, it seems to be like the most adventurous way of going up and down these waters. You know, you're doing everything with your own two hands, your own determination, and so it's very rewarding. It makes you feel like, you know, you're really putting it in for that adventure.
Whether you're looking for beautiful sights or a strength exercise, kayaking makes for the perfect water sport for your next Chicago adventure.
Just to get a different view of Chicago instead of walking around, I think by water you'll be able to see a lot more than walking along the streets of Chicago.
While you're in your kayak, you can check out architecture history tours, fireworks from the river, and city lights at night. From the Chicago River, I'm Abby Buston, Chicago This Week.
What a wonderful way to honor our past. If you haven't gotten enough ideas, there are still 10 top attractions that we think you should enjoy. Abby is here with us again for more.
Ranked at number 10 is the 360 Chicago Observation Deck and Tilt. Number 9 is Chicago's famous Field Museum of Natural History. And in the 8th spot is the Willis Tower Sky Deck that our own Hayes Owens checked out. Number 7 is the Chicago Architecture Center. And coming in at number 6, if you want to get a little shopping on, is the Magnificent Mile.
Such great things to check out. After the break, we learned Chicago's top 5 attractions. And it wouldn't be Chicago without sports. Found out what sports you can watch and join. All this and more coming up.
Go you Northwestern. Go Northwestern, break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Sports is pretty much ingrained in every Chicagoan, from football, hockey, or in this case, baseball. Chicago's Wrigleyville is home to the famous Chicago Cubs, but the heartbeat of good bands, good bars, and good baseball. Elena Sklar has more.
There's so much to do in Wrigleyville in the summer. Going to rooftops for Cubs games, going out to bars, and of course, getting a Chicago dog. Wrigleyville is home to the iconic Wrigley Field, the home field to the Chicago Cubs. Other than hosting the North Side's dedicated fan base for games, Wrigleyville has loads of other activities to do.
Honestly, I think Wrigley is just great. There's so much to do. Going to Cubs games, the Wrigley rooftops are so much fun. All the bars are great. I feel like it's just a really good place to go in the summer, especially on like a nice day like this.
A lot of outdoor space, cool people, a good community you get to fit in and vibe with. And then the Cubs, you know, they lose a lot, but that's part of the fun, because when they win, it feels a lot better.
Betting next, their baseman, Nick Madrigal.
The Cubs so far this season have already played about 30 games at home and have many more games to come at the friendly confines in the summer months.
Love going to Cubs games. I'm not from Chicago, but I feel like a Chicago transplant, so I love the Cubs.
Other than going to Cubs games, this North Side neighborhood is packed with bars and rooftops to spend time at. Some of the most popular ones include Old Crow Smokehouse and Deuces.
They're awesome because, especially in the summer when it's warm and sunny and you want to be outside, good music, good people, you know, it's just awesome. There's no other way to describe it.
If you are looking for some fun summer plans, don't forget to stop by some of the bars in Wrigleyville. Don't miss out. Go to Wrigleyville this summer and go to a Cubs game. Who knows? Maybe you'll catch a home run ball. From Chicago, Elena Sklar, Chicago This Week.
Thanks so much, Elena. Professional sports are a big part of Chicago, but most start at the collegiate level. The city is home to many college teams that play throughout the summer. But the Big Ten in our Northwestern sports community is getting a big change. Here's John Riker with more.
It's a new era for Big Ten athletics. While football stadiums here, like Northwestern's Ryan Field, will be getting ready for an influx of fans in the fall. Behind the scenes, it's new commissioner Tony Petitti and his new staff getting ready to lead the conference. Here's what Petitti will bring to the Big Ten.
After an 11-year drought, Northwestern back on top. The Wildcats are national champions.
Celebrations like these are a big part of Big Ten sports.
Now he's going to get mobbed with the rose petals.
This summer, the preparations began for athletics next fall under new leadership. The Big Ten welcomed its 7th commissioner to its Rosemont office in April, longtime TV and sports executive Tony Petitti. The Big Ten has a busy summer ahead, but is thrilled about the new leader at the helm.
Tony isn't just a trusted leader in the business of athletics. He is a man who loves college athletics.
The conference is on the verge of adding USC and UCLA to its ranks. Chancellors and presidents think Petitti is perfect for this exciting era.
Our members of the Council of Presidents and Chancellors were excited about the depth and experience and breadth of knowledge that Mr. Petitti would bring to the job of Big Ten Commissioner. Tony clearly understands the business side of athletics. It is evident across his career.
Petitti comes from the MLB, but played a crucial role in the formation of the Bowl Championship Series in college football. In his press conference, he addressed his experience and more.
The process was really thorough and very substantive, as was alluded to. So that was very helpful because it gives me a head start to start working on the things that are important. So far, I've been extremely impressed by the staff, how creative they are, how engaged they are. And I think they've got, under Kevin's leadership, there are a lot of ideas welling up, and we're going to get after them as fast as we can.
Continuing growth this summer and beyond was a common theme in Petitti's answers.
I think what just happened this past March in the women's basketball tournament in Iowa was a huge part of that, and Caitlin Clark. So I think that's another huge opportunity. And I think when you see momentum someplace, I think as a leader, your responsibility is to really double down and focus on that because there's a great opportunity in the women's basketball game right now to grow.
One issue to keep an eye on, the upcoming Big Ten media rights deal. This deal looked to be finalized a couple months ago, but now there are some serious issues that are putting the big money in jeopardy. Reporting from Evanston, John Riker, Chicago This Week.
Thanks, John. Now, watching a sport from the stands is one thing, but joining a team is another. Chicago has leagues that are available for anyone to join, meet new friends, and participate in some friendly competition. Our Max Olson set up with the local soccer team to check out why everyone should sign up.
The summer season is upon us here in the city, and when summertime comes, that means there's lots of outside activities that you can take part in. One of those activities, well, is soccer.
More of us just moving around. I mean, summertime Chi is definitely the best time of the year. The city definitely wakes up, gets really busy. Everyone's outside. Obviously, soccer is a massive thing. There's a huge soccer community in Chicago that's growing as well. And so you see teams popping up. There's pickups. There's leagues. It's definitely something that is a big part of Chicago and a big time of summer, and a lot of people come out to enjoy it.
It's amazing. It's really awesome to see that soccer is not only growing in Chicago, but growing in the U.S. soccer scene, which I find is amazing. It's always a place to play ball. I feel like there's never a day where I'm not out on this field or out playing with some friends at other fields. Loads of different teams too, at all levels. All the way down to people who've never played, all the way up to people who play professionally or semi-professionally, and it's just a really awesome atmosphere for soccer here in Chicago.
That soccer is such a big sport in Chicago, and it draws many different players with varying ranges of skill. People like Adam have created leagues where teams can be formed and played throughout the summer.
Just on our team alone, we've got a lot of international representation. People from all over the world. Chicago's a global city, so people from all over the world are here. And soccer's a global sport, so it's one of the ways that all those communities start to come together and mix in Chicago, and that's definitely something that the soccer community does more than almost anybody in Chicago.
Go ahead, Ari. We're out here playing all the time. I get to socialize with my friends or like-minded people that also really like the sport. Whether it's competitive or whether it's fun, it's always just a really good community to be a part of. Just the people are so great, and playing soccer is always fun, whether you lose or you win. It's just a matter of getting out, getting active, and socializing. And I think those are three important things.
Then from just a playing perspective, there's leagues at all levels. There's leagues for people that played in college, that played in high school, all the way down to people that have never played before. On our team, we've got a lot of players that played Division I or played at different levels in college or in club. But we also have, second and other teams that are just for the social aspect, just for pickup. We have lots of players that have never played before, but join and come out with us and at least get to kick the ball around and learn more about the sport.
From Chicago, Max Olson, Chicago This Week.
Thanks, Max. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, Chicago's top 5 attractions by TripAdvisor. Rounding out our list at top 5 is the Museum of Science and Industry. Number 4, as our own Elena Scalar checked out, is Wrigley Field. In spot 3 is Cloudgate, or what some might call the Bean. Our top 2 is Millennium Park. And finally, your top spot is the Art Institute of Chicago.
Well, this was so fun. We hope you enjoy our Summer in the City special of Chicago This Week. Tune in again next time as we check out the new alderpersons in office. For Chicago This Week, I'm Mia Bearden. Thank you so much for watching.